sweet friends, to my podcast, Loss and Healing. It's a podcast dedicated to navigating the profound journey of miscarriage grief. I'm your host, Dr. Rachna, and I'm honored to be your guide as we explore the delicate landscape of loss, healing, and hope. Sweet friends, it is so good to be with you here today. Today's topic, we are going to be addressing fear. And fear can take so many different shapes, sounds, sights in our lives after a miscarriage. C.S. Lewis once wrote that he never knew that grief could feel so much like fear after his wife had passed away. I always tell people when I sit with them, when they're grieving, I always say, grief is like a tricky little beast. It pops up in places we would never even imagine for it to be there. It could be at a grocery store where you are just, buying something random and you find this urgency to cry or this urgency to get yourself out of there because this fear just kind of comes at you like a tsunami. And I always say now, you know what? Let's try to lean into that fear. And ask it a question. What do you want? Why are you here? So as you listen to our episode today, I want you to really try your best to lean into whatever fears are coming up for you. And if you're listening while your heart is heavy today, I want to say that you're not alone. And some parts of this episode may feel heavy. And I want you to always pause when that happens, taking a gentle step back and go take care of yourself, whether that's by a gentle walk, a cup of tea, just taking some deep breaths. I just want you to always be able to ground yourself back into who you are and why you are here listening to this episode. And if it's too heavy for you still, I always want to encourage you to find the support, whether it's with a therapist, a close friend, your partner, leaning into your faith, your spirituality. Find what grounds you and gives you balance. So if you've experienced one miscarriage or more than that, like myself, you have probably felt a tangle of fears about the future, about whether or not you would ever feel joy again, about your body, your heart, society, what would people say? What's my family going to think? All of these things, these thoughts are entangled in fear. And I want you to know you're not alone in this, definitely not. And I'm so glad you're here today to better understand how to tackle these fears that come up. There's no normal, quote unquote, I'm quoting that, there's no normal timetable for healing. I want you to be able to go at your own pace. No one gets to tell you what healing looks like for you. Fear is a natural companion, and it can share space with care and forward motion. I want you to remember that we can experience fear and we can also take steps forward to make sure that we're taking care of ourselves and our heart so that we can experience the healing that we deserve. In my life, I've learned that grief definitely isn't linear. Most of my life, it's felt like a roller coaster that I'm constantly going up and down on. And fear doesn't mean that I'm weak or that you're weak. What I've learned instead is to slow down and to ask it, what does it want? What is my body trying to tell me about me when I experience this fear? Because if I can lean into that fear and understand where it's coming from, I can find solutions to take the next step forward. Now, I want you to know that grief after loss doesn't have a single shape. It can arrive as quiet days, sudden waves, or fear that quietly seeps into simple joys. And all of that is natural and it's normal. I don't ever want you to feel that what you're experiencing is not okay or that it's not normal. Whatever you are feeling, even right now in this very moment, whatever you're feeling is valid. It matters and it's yours. And you get to decide how you want to heal from it. So, sweet friends, I want to start by talking about the fear that we can experience right after we have a miscarriage. Right? Because that first blow, that first voice from a doctor or from a nurse that tells you that you've just had a miscarriage, that brings the fear. That right away makes me feel like I have done something wrong to create this sadness, this miscarriage for myself. That lie that we start believing in that very moment when we hear those words, that the baby does not have a heartbeat. Now, I want to share my own part of this journey where I remember sitting in the hospital room and hearing those exact words. And I remember this stillness. Like I could no longer hear what the doctor was saying anymore. All I could feel was stillness and numbness, as if I was paralyzed. I couldn't move. All I could feel were tears just streaming down my face. And that fear rose up in me like a tsunami. Like, my God, what have I done? What did I do wrong? What are people going to say? What's my partner going to say? And that fear took over. And I don't even remember how I walked to my car, how I got home, what I did after. But what I do remember is this utter sense of helplessness. And fear can bring that on, right? It can make us feel helpless, like nothing is in my control. And it's also accompanied by an incredible amount of anxiety. So if you're in that space and you're experiencing that today, I really want you to reach out to someone for support. I think from our story last time from Maria, that was the biggest thing that really helped her, was when she had the support from a few people in her life. Because, my sweet friend, the truth of the matter is that you're not meant to do this alone. Don't let the fear of loneliness keep you from community and from reaching out for support. You don't need to do this by yourself. There are resources, there are therapists, there are support people in your life. Even as I'm speaking now, perhaps someone comes to your mind who can walk with you. So my encouragement to you is to just reach out, text somebody if you're struggling and if you just need to talk. Another part of grief and fear that comes up after we have a miscarriage is that our identity shifts so drastically. Because a minute before you have that miscarriage, you are imagining this incredible world for your child. It feels brand new. It doesn't matter if you have other children. Each time you become a mother, it's fresh, it's new. You start imagining these wonderful experiences that you will have with your child. And when you hear those words, that the baby has no heartbeat, or that you've had a miscarriage, it's numbing. Your body goes into shock. It goes into this mode of fear that, oh my God, did I do something wrong? That was my thought. I remember being in the hospital room with my first miscarriage, and when the doctor said the baby has no heartbeat, I just remember feeling numb. I couldn't move my body. All I could feel were tears rolling down my face. I honestly don't even remember how I got to my car and home. That fear just swept in like a tsunami all over my body. I could feel it physically, mentally, emotionally. And it wasn't until I shared it with my partner, with a close friend at that time, that I felt a little bit of relief that, my God, I don't have to carry this by myself. Even though I did for the most part, because I didn't have the support of the doctors, or I didn't know to go to a therapist for that, because there was so much shame around it. There's there's so much fear. Fear takes on so many disguises, and it keeps us from reaching out to our community. It keeps us from talking about it and sharing it with each other so that we can support one another through the pain, through the grief. And I really want to encourage you today to think of ways to let go of that fear, to lean into it. You're going to hear me say that a lot today, is to lean into the fear. I don't want you to run from it anymore. You know, when our identity changes, it puts us into this confusion, right? Like, who am I now if I'm not a mother? Who am I now if I'm not even going to make it to my due date? What do I do with myself? How do I tell people? You know, fear comes with a lot of anxiety because we can't control anything. Having had a miscarriage, that was out of my control. I did not do anything wrong, and neither did you. I really want you to sit in that. If you're in the place where you're blaming yourself today, oh, sweet friend, you did not do anything wrong. I wish I could give you a hug right now and just sit with you. And the best I could do is just do this podcast. So my hope is that as you learn to lean into the fear, I hope that you are also leaning into community, into support, into taking care of yourself, right? That's the other side of this. When we are in so much fear, we forget to take care of ourselves. Perhaps some of you today haven't eaten. You haven't been hydrating. You haven't gone outside even, because that depression takes over. And even as you're listening today and you haven't had a drop of water or any food in your body, I want you to pause and go get something to eat. Even if it's a snack, a protein shake, a cup of tea, a cookie, eat something sweet to lift your mood. But do make sure that you are nourishing your body. Because anxiety, shame, blame is going to make you feel that you are not worthy of feeling healthy, that you're not worthy of taking care of yourself. And I am here to tell you the opposite. I am here to tell you that you deserve to take care of yourself. You deserve to prioritize your needs. And you deserve to speak up and ask for the support that is needed. You know, another part of this is grief can feel so overwhelming. When that fear comes in, it just adds another layer to that overwhelm. And it may even make us feel like I can't have joy anymore, right? Nothing feels good. And even when something feels good a little bit, we feel guilty for having fun, for smiling or laughing. And I want you to remember that it's okay to have grief. And alongside that, it's okay to experience joy. It's okay to smile. It's okay to take care of yourself. It's okay to go out with friends. It's okay to sit and listen to music. Maybe even move your body and dance a little. Because by doing that, you are giving your body, your mind, permission to heal itself and do what it needs to do to take care of you. You know, so many times after grief happens and fear rolls in, our mind may sometimes feel like it's 5 miles ahead of our bodies. And this is where I want to gently encourage you to slow down, to take a gentle step back and ask yourself again that question: what is my body trying to tell me about me? What do I need to do to lean into this fear, into this grief, and take care of myself? And I also want to, just put this out there that if your grief is feeling really overwhelming and it's hindering you from functioning in daily life, and it's been weeks now, and you're having too many intrusive thoughts, I really want you to consider talking to a professional so that you can find the support and you can find a sounding wall, right? A guiding light who can sit with you and just talk with you and allow you to find ways of healing, ways to lean into your body and mind and take care of yourself. I cannot tell you the number of times I've sat in my office with my clients and we've just sat in silence as tears roll down their faces. Sometimes we need that space because maybe you have kids at home, other kids at home, or work, or other life obligations, and you don't find the time to just process the pain that you have experienced. And that's another thing about fear, is that it hinders our steps forward because we get so busy, right? Life goes on, things happen, the world keeps turning. But if I stop and if I address what I'm really feeling and the amount of grief that's in my heart, oh boy, that fear's going to come and eat me alive because I'm not going to know what to do with that grief. And this is where your community comes into play. You want to reach out for that support. Another part of it is to have structure in life, to have a routine, to have a way to wind down and have your next steps in place. It could be as simple as, you know what, I'm going to get up and stretch, and then I'm going to have breakfast, and then I'm going to get ready for work. It's a routine. It's a way to train your mind to slowly start getting your rhythm back. And by doing that, you're creating boundaries for yourself. You're creating a safe holding environment where you know what you need to do next so that you can tackle that grief when it comes, day by day, minute by minute, hour by hour. You know, when we talk about fear and grief, it can feel very suffocating, as if I can't take a breath. Because not only am I experiencing a loss of my identity as a mother in so many ways, I'm also struggling with this longing and this desire that I still have to be a mother. And I want you to know that it's okay to have that and also find a new part of your identity that you can lean into. And we'll talk more about this in another podcast, but I just wanted to touch on this. Is that fear makes us feel like we're standing still and we're stuck and that we cannot move. But I want you to have hope. You know, hope isn't a denial of grief. It's choosing to keep living with the loss at your own pace, with kindness, with love, with gentleness and compassion for yourself. And that's one of the biggest things I want you to remember today. If anything, that's what I want you to remember, is that I need you to treat yourself with gentleness and kindness, because that's what you would do for somebody else. All that empathy that you have, all that love, the care that you pour into others, right now, I need you to focus in on yourself and give that to yourself, to your heart, to your mind, and honor that healing process that you are going through. So, sweet friends, today, as we have talked a little bit about fear and grief and how you can take care of yourself, I hope that you're able to do something right after you finish listening to this podcast. I hope you're able to reach out for support to a therapist, to a friend, to your partner, and let them know that you're going through fear and grief and that you need help. And that doesn't mean that you're weak. It just means you're going through something that's incredibly difficult. And as always, always, I want you to remember that every single heartbeat matters, no matter how small. And sweet friends, before we go for today, I wanted to say a couple of thank yous to two of our listeners who reached out via email and one that left a kind review. To our listener in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, thank you so much for sharing a snippet of what you're going through. Please know that my loving thoughts and healing prayers are with you. To our other listener, Milky Love, your sweet review really touched my heart, and I hope that you keep listening and coming back. Sweet friends, please know that you are always welcome to reach out to me. And if you feel like you'd like to leave a review or subscribe, it's greatly welcomed and appreciated. Next time on our podcast, we will continue to talk about the topic of fear and how that impacts our identity, the way we show up in the world after a miscarriage. Please take care of yourself with gentleness. This is Dr. Rachna, and I'll see you all next time.